Welcome back. Let us again continue with that one. So we have seen what is meant by this Atatais and how they had done this injustice to these Pandavas. Then further, now Arjuna is prepared to again excuse them or pardon them the heinous crimes of this Duryodhana. He wants to pardon them because now Duryodhana is not enemy of Arjuna. He feels that his brother. Now he is seeing the relations in them. That is the one. If a person like a Duryodhana can cause harm to the virtuous Pandavas by any means, who were supposed to be the again better half kings of that this one. So now we can imagine what Duryodhana can do to a common man. That means he can exploit the common woman, he can exploit the grab the lands of the common man, he can exploit anybody, he can eliminate anybody, he can do whatever cruelties, whatever he wants. So that is what the mindset of this one, Duryodhana. Now Arjuna, if he saw that yes, he is also a Kshatriya, he is also a king, it is his duty bound to eliminate such antisocial elements, but rather than eliminating, now he is finding that he is his own brother, and he is becoming so much pitiable that he says his Gandiva or bow is slipping away from him, and he is unable to stand also, and then he is unable to take back the fight also. So that is what is the Arjuna's plea that he is putting in front of Lord Sri Krishna. Then again continuing this one, he said, Tasman arha vayam hantum dhartarashtan swabandhavan swajanam hi katam hatva sukinasyama Madhava. He says, oh Madhava, by killing our own men, of my own kith and kin, how can I become happy, or how can we become happy and rule the kingdom with pleasure? So that is what is the argument of Arjuna. Further he says, Yadyapetena pashyanti logo pahata chetasaha kulakshe krutam dosham mitradohe cha patakam. That means he now is advising Lord Sri Krishna or putting his logic. He says that see, they are idiots, they cannot distinguish between what is good and what is bad. They are villainous people, they cannot distinguish between good and bad. But we are learned people, we are virtuous people, we can very well distinguish that they are my own kith and kin. I can see them as my relatives, my teachers, my mentors, my grandfathers. They are idiots, they are ready to kill, but we cannot kill, because we are on the virtuous or a pious path. So it is like telling that if terrorists come and attack us, let them attack, because they are terrorists, they are idiots. We should excuse because we are learned, we are a tolerant country, we have a cultural history of thousands of years. We accommodate everybody in our country. So this is our logic. That is means terrorists can come and attack anybody at any given point of time in any place and kill, but because they are idiots, they are villains. However, we are very intelligent people, we are very soft-hearted people, we are very much enlightened people, we are on righteous path, we are on pious path, we are all devotees, and we all stay in the dharma. So that is why we should excuse terrorists. So this is the logic of that Arjuna. So that is why Lord Sri Krishna said, your logic is at fault. Another example, beautiful example also I will tell you after 2-3 verses. And he says, Yadapetena pashyanti logo pahata chetasaha kulakshe krutam dosham mitradrohe cha patakam katham nagneyam asmadhi papadasman vartitum kulakshe krutam dosham prapashyat virjanartana. He says, see, we are so much enlightened and intelligent people, we can make out distinction between good and bad. So even if they are bad, we should pardon them. So that is the logic. He continues. And further he says that kulakshe pranashyanti kuladharma sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam krusnam adharmo vibhavetyuta. There are some net issues, so I'm sorry for that one. Now we are continuing with this one. He is continuing, Arjuna is continuing his plea. He further says, Adharmad vibhavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyaha strishu dushtashu varshneya jayate varnasankaraha. Then he says, Sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro heshyam lupta pindo dakakriyaha doshe retaihi kulagnanam varnasankarakarakai utsadyante jati dharmaha kuladharmascha shashvataha उत्सन्न कुलधर्माणां मनुष्याणां च जनार्दन नरके नियतं वासो भवति अनुशुश्रमः अहो बत महत्पापं कर्तुं व्यवसिता वयं यद्राज्यसुखलोभेन हन्तुं स्वजनमुद्यताः यदि माम् अप्रतीकारम् अशस्त्रं शस्त्रपाणयः धार्तराष्ट्रे रणे हन्युस्तन्मे क्षेमतरं भवेत्. So this is the argument of Arjuna to Lord Sri Krishna. He says that, see, they are all my own kith and kin, my own people, my own relatives, and if I kill them, see what and all loss can happen to this world of Earth. That is what is Arjuna's argument. It's very perfect. It's very perfect argument at that point of time, and looks very rosy also, very much convincing also, wherein he says that what are the losses of a warfare. Let us see, we have our enemy countries are there, like China is one enemy country now, and this one, if we say that let us excuse them, let us pardon them, what will happen? They will start destroying us. Or any other enemy country, if they start attacking us, if we don't revolt them, then what will happen? They will rule us. So the only option left is revolting them. In this process, anything can happen. Either we may die or they may die, and after the warfare is over, definitely there will be loss or damage to our enemy party. There is damage to us also. Maybe in terms of property, maybe in terms of land, maybe in terms of wealth, maybe in terms of loss of human life or animal life. Suppose if a bomb is dropped, definitely it will create havoc on so many animals and birds for their no fault, and the trees will be destroyed, and so many things can happen. Suppose if we don't revolt, and if we revolt, this is what can happen. It can happen there also, it can happen on this side also. So that is what is the logic. And further he says that, so suppose if all the men, because in those days only men used to participate in warfare, now we have women also participating in the warfare. We have flying squadrons in women contingent, we have in army also women participating, but in those days only men. Navies also we find so many women acquiring or occupying very highest position in the defense or in politics or in any other sphere of life. But in those days only men used to rule, and they used to participate in the war. Now Arjuna's theory is that, suppose if we participate in the warfare and destroy all those things, so what can happen is that all the men will be died, all the men this side will die, all the men on the other side will die. So what will happen? All the women will become directionless. There is nobody to lead them, there is nobody to protect them, there is nobody to rule the kingdom. And what can happen after some point, at some point of time, we start losing what is our cultural heritage, because there will be no more children, because all the women are without husbands, and then there will be no population at all. And what can happen? Women may go berserk because of that one, because only in a kingdom only women folk will survive. All the men are dead, only women will survive. So they may go berserk, or there may be a lot of imbalance in that particular kingdom or the country. And this is very wonderful logic. Same logic Arjuna is telling. Now he says that this can create so much of imbalance on this in our kingdom, because there is no men around, no valiant men around, and because of that, what happens is there can be a lot of women may run away, or so many other indisciplinary acts may take place. So because of that, further what happens? Whatever our heritage is there, Arjuna's logic is that we have a cultural heritage, we have ancestral values, we know what is good, what is justice. Everything gets hampered, everything is destroyed. We have our certain religious acts are there, certain our tutelary gods aspects are there, which we keep on protecting. That all gets destroyed. That is what Arjuna is telling. If warfare happens, then he says, as we all know that, isn't it? We have our tutelary gods, what we call Kuladevata, and once in a year we go there, visit there, and do our prayers there. or suppose if some other people are there, or let us say our fathers are dead, yearly once we perform some rituals for the dead people, isn't it? Our sraddhas we perform, or pakshas we perform, some sort of rituals are performed by everybody, especially in our country. In type and style and what exactly is done may be different, but the purpose is to please our forefathers. Somebody may light a candle in front of the portrait of a forefather, somebody may offer some food to that forefathers, or somebody may feed poor people on that death anniversary of their forefathers. It may forefathers or their mother, grandmother, something like that. So this is what can very well happen, is the logic of Arjuna that was put forth. Then he says that no, if no man means will be nobody to offer the food for our dead. This one, no, there will be nobody. Let us say now we are going once in a year to a Tirupati Balaji for our darshan. It's our ritual. Now, if there are no men, how can we go to that Tirupati? And that means we are destroying our own culture, our own values that have been set by this one. Or we perform, or even ordinary things. Every year we perform Navratri, we perform Dasara, we perform a Diwali festival, we perform Sankranti festival, something and all we keep on performing. So that also gets destroyed. That is what Arjuna says. Now, at this point of time, the Arjuna's logic is 100% true, very much perfect. But best example, this logic doesn't hold true at that point of time, because Arjuna at totally fault. His logic is rosy, beautiful, attractive. What he is telling is 100% true, that after warfare, lot of disaster can happen. But suppose if we don't fight, what can happen? You can imagine. I had told, if an enemy country attacks upon us, if we don't fight back, what can happen? You can imagine very well. So that means at that point of time, only duty is to fight back. Let whatever can happen. That is one thing. Now let us say Arjuna is not fighting back against his forefathers. He is not fighting back with his teachers, but he is fighting back with rogue elements of the society, antisocial elements. It was his duty to punish them. That he is not doing. And as I said, suppose if that Duryodhana can create havoc to valiant people like Arjuna and Pandavas, you can imagine what he can do to a common man. No woman will be safe in Duryodhana's kingdom. Nobody's property will remain safe in Duryodhana's kingdom. No person can move with his head high in Duryodhana's kingdom. There will be, everything gets destroyed because he is a villain. Arjuna is supposed to fight back with a villain, not his brother Duryodhana. This is where Arjuna faltered. I will tell you one another, as I said previously, after 2-3 verses, I will tell you one beautiful example. We had one of my friends, let us say one of our friends, he was also a professor in pharmacy. Very strict person, very disciplined person, and very good teacher also. Everybody used to respect him. Even I used to respect that teacher for his sincerity, honesty, never miss the class, and very good at teaching and perfect justice. So, but what happens in our society, I will tell you. Society in the sense where we live around. Somebody, maybe my son is writing an examination, or my brother's son is writing an examination. It can happen. So what they used to tell, see, you are also a teacher in that same institute or somewhere. So please kindly, can you help my son? Or can you help my daughter to pass in that examination? So this person was so strict and disciplined that he used to tear up those cheats, that register numbers, whoever recommends, and never used to entertain. Wonderful nature of that person. Everybody should appreciate. Now, this is like Arjuna's statement. Now, what happened is, he had his own daughter. She was also studying in a college, some program or some course she was studying. I will not name the person, because let us say, consider it as some example of a Somadatta or Devadatta. But this person was not entertaining any recommendations of anybody. His daughter, where she joined, she was a dull-witted girl, and she failed in the subjects. See, all these days he has practiced very much disciplined and practiced highest principles. Now his daughter was failing, he compromised all the principles and started pleading to those teachers to pass his daughter. See, when he was failing somebody's children, they are also somebody's children, somebody's daughters, sons. This fellow was speaking very high of principles, but when it came to his own daughter, the other teacher was also strict, so he should have kept quiet. Instead, he started pestering them to pass. So this was the fault line. This is one stage. At second stage, again, then she failed. So what happens is, again, he approached me that because they are your friends and they oblige you, and some sort of goodwill I had with them. He said, you influence. Then I also went, because he was my colleague, I went and tried to tell that, see, can you help this girl? Then they said, sir, you bring any Tom, Dick and Harry's influence and ask to pass, we will pass. We will not pass this girl unless and until she performs in the examination, because her father exploited us like anything, and he was speaking so much of the principles. This is the fault line of the Arjuna. Same fault line. See, when it comes to them, they suddenly become so much weak and nervous. If it is for some other people, he becomes very strict teacher. It's like a story of a judge. When it comes to somebody, justice, hanging somebody, some culprits, fine, so valiantly he will award a punishment, they should be hanged. 100% perfect. Suppose if his son is involved in that crime, if he can hang that son also, that means he's a good judge. If he cannot hang, that means he's a bad judge. So this is what has happened. As I said, Arjuna's valiance and Arjuna's story, I had told you, Arjuna was a very valiant hero who had fought very many wars. Single-handedly he has won the wars, and he had killed so many people and accumulated lot of wealth, and he became Dhananjaya also. Isn't it? So many things we have learned about. And on one occasion, he took fight with the demons, 3 crore demons, Nimata Kavachas, single-handedly, one with his Gandiva. So that is the valiant. So at that point of time, Arjuna never thought that these demons also have their wives. Demons also have their children. So if I kill all these 3 crore demons, what is the fate of those women? He never thought about them. What is the fate of the children of the demons? He never thought about them, because he mercilessly killed them, and he was involved in a ghastly war, and it was pride. He took a lot of pride that single-handedly I have killed 3 crores people. It was his pride. 3 crores, here only ordinary 11 Akshohini people were there, that is around 22 lakhs people, soldiers participated from Kaurava side, and some 7 into 2, around 14 lakh people participated from Pandava side. 3 crores he can kill single-handedly, ghastly, and win over them, and boast his pride that he has killed 3 crore people. At that point, he never thought that they are demons. Maybe they are demons. They are wild-natured people only, but they too have their own wives. They too have their own children. They too have their own wives. Maybe it is their own principles are different, but they too. But he never thought about all those things. He thought that at that time, winning was the only. They are enemies, and winning was the only motto of that one. Besides that, whenever he waged a war against any kings or whoever challenged him, he single-handedly won all those wars, killed those kings and tied them, and then he put them in jail, and so many things he did. And so boastfully, so playfully, he used to win those wars and kill the enemies and boast that he is such a valiant hero. So that is how Arjuna was. Definitely was valiant. Now also, it is the same villains. Duryodhana was a villain, and all the supporters of the villain, Dushasana, Vikarna, and Dronacharya and Bhishmacharya supported that villain Duryodhana rather than protesting. So that is why they are also villains only at this point of time. So Arjuna, now he thinks that what can happen if I kill this Duryodhana? My brother is there, his wives will become child, this one without husbands, and so much of injustice will be there around. This is the fault, major fault line of Arjuna's theory. So Arjuna, who was defending that they are my children, they are my uncles, they are paternal uncles, they are my grandchildren, my children, my father, my father's brother, something and all he was telling, that he will get sins, and so much of women folk will get destroyed, and so much of indiscipline will be there, so much of violence will be there, we lose our religious heritage, we lose cultural heritage. All this logic was put forth by this Arjuna, but where this logic had gone for the Arjuna when he was killing all other enemies of other kingdoms. That means at that point of time, he felt that he is really a heroic person. When it comes to his relatives, he becomes weak, and then he is ready to compromise all the values. He said that they are Atatais. He knows very well that they are Atatais. They are the people who have tried to burn them. They are the people who have tried to poison them. They are the people who have tried to drown them. They are the people who have disrobed a woman. So instead of fighting back, they have people who had grabbed their wealth. So now it is the duty of Arjuna to destroy that enemy and establish peace in that country, at maybe at any cost. It may be at any cost, it was his duty. So rather than doing this one, where he has won so many wars by killing so many other peoples, now he is speaking like a philosopher because they are his relatives. This is the major fault line, and this is what we have to learn from Bhagavad Gita. As I said, first chapter is the foundation of the entire gospel of Bhagavad Gita, or entire this treatise of Bhagavad Gita. So where Arjuna faltered, how Lord Sri Krishna corrected that Arjuna and made him to fight back, because it was not a fight between Arjuna or Pandavas and Kauravas. It was a fight between virtuous and not virtuous people. It was a fight between good people and the bad people. It was a fight between ethics, that is ethical people, and unethical people. So antisocial elements, unethical people, they have to be at any cost destroyed, so that peace can be established at any cost. So if a queen like a Draupadi can be disrobed in public, so you can imagine the fate of ordinary women. Hence they have to be destroyed. If they can grab the property of valiant Pandavas, you can imagine what can happen to the property of other common men. Hence they have to be destroyed. So to establish this peace, to establish this religious righteousness, war was an inevitable act, and Lord Sri Krishna again destroyed the logic of Arjuna, which appeared rosy, which appeared beautiful, but it was not rosy, neither rosy, nor it was beautiful. It was full of faults, wherein he was seeing only the relations. He never thought that women folk will be unsafe. He says that let the Kauravas kill me and let them rule. We become beggars, or we become mendicants, and we go to woods and we do tapasya, and then we will achieve heavens. That was the logic of Arjuna. That means he is giving the kingdom to bad people. So that means he wants to destroy that way. So the entire kingdom, he will become responsible for that one only. That is, if bad people start ruling the world, you can imagine what can happen. Hence, bad has to be destroyed. So that is the logic. That is the fault of the Arjuna. But while we read all these things, we feel that such a this one beautiful argument of Arjuna is there. So that is what many people, atheists, also argue. That is what many wild people also today in society also we can see. That beautiful small examples, there is no necessity to go far behind. You can see that there are so many what you call criminals who are present in the jail. They fight, they contest the elections, they win the elections also. Now suppose if you ask a political party, why you have given a ticket to such a vile person who is in the jail? Why you have given protection to such a vile person who can become a MLA? They have become MLAs. Gundas have become MLAs. They have become ministers. This is very well known to everybody. So if you ask them, then the argument or the rosy logic like Arjuna, what they will tell is that, see, we are giving an opportunity to these villains to improve themselves. So that if you make them minister, probably he will come back to right path. Probably he will become a good person. So how it is possible? A person with heinous crimes, how can we imagine that person to become a good person or a virtuous person? It is not possible. So argument is very rosy. Argument is that, suppose if we bad elements, if we give ticket in election and make them leaders, so that they will come to a right path. So very beautiful argument. That is, suppose if we bring out all the criminals from the jail, give the tickets, let them win, and we have given a wonderful opportunity to all these criminals so that they can become our ministers or our leaders, and then they become gentlemen or they become virtuous. Is it possible? But argument is like that. See, we are given an opportunity to a criminal so that he will become a good fellow. That fellow will never become a good fellow, rather than he will destroy. So it's not necessary to name them or anything. You can see in everyday newspaper, you can see television media, you can see, and so many places you can gather so many examples. Not one. If you simply see one example, you can extend this logic to 100 examples or 1,000 people you will get around. So that is what is the situation of this Arjuna. Hence, Lord Sri Krishna says, "You destroy them." So that is what is one of the beautiful logics that is put forth by him. Then finally, the last verse of chapter number 1, that is, he says, Sanjay Vacha, Evam Gupta Arjuna Sankhe Ratopasta Upavishata Visrujya Sasharam Chapam Shokasam Vigna Manasa. By telling all these words, what Arjuna did, he sat in the middle of that chariot, and he kept his Gandiva bow and the arrows aside, and he put his hand on his forehead in a very deep agonizing manner. He said that I'm already sweating, I have become nervous, and I'm unable to stand up, I'm feeling giddiness, I cannot fight back, let them come and kill, and then this is what is frontline. So now Lord Sri Krishna says that you are not fighting with your brothers, you are fighting with bad elements of the society. It is war. It is your duty bound. Suppose if a teacher is there, he has to do his teaching duty rather than teaching. Suppose if I go on sweeping the roads of Gulbarga, I am not a good teacher. Act is very good. The work is very good, but it's not. I am supposed to teach there only, like that. If police, he feels that instead of protecting, he does some other job in the society, selling of the vegetables and earning. It's a very good job. It's not a wrong job, but he is supposed to protect the society from the criminals. So like that, everybody has a fixed role. They have to play that role, what they are meant for. It may be the role of a advocate, maybe the role of a doctor. Suppose if a doctor is there as a corona warrior, rather than that, suppose if he keeps on doing preparing food and preparing tea and serving the patient, that is not his duty. Somebody else is there for that one. He has to treat the patients with the drugs, diagnose them and give the medicines, give the injections, and check his temperature, check what are the other symptoms. That is his duty, not cooking because he has is duty bound there. So like that, every person in the society, they are duty bound. They should do their perfect duties to their perfection, best of their knowledge, sincerity, honesty. Then only we can expect the peace in the society and a world of righteousness in the society. So that is what is the message of Lord Sri Krishna, wherein he says, you fight back with these wild people to establish the peace, to establish that all the women folk of this world become safe. Everybody's property remains safe. They feel that yes, they can lead a righteous life, and no person is means brutally killed, or not means set on the fire, or not drowned for grabbing the lands, grabbing the property, or dislodged from their properties. Such acts should never happen. That is what is the message of Lord Sri Krishna. Hence he says, now the question comes that Arjuna says that why he should fight, why alone he should do it, because he is a Kshatriya, he is a king, he is duty bound by that one. So everybody has to do their duty to establish the peace. Otherwise, peace will never come to this that means peace at the cost of this strictness or discourse. By killing or destroying the villains, we have to establish peace. So that is how this logic of Bhagavad Gita goes. That is grief of the Arjuna, wherein he expresses his grief and in chapter 2 also, first 7 verses also, still it continues. Arjuna keeps on saying that why should I fight back? They are my teacher, they are my forefathers, they are my brothers. I don't want to fight. All the logic he puts in second chapter also. Then Lord Sri Krishna takes up the control, and then he starts advising to Arjuna that this is a weakness, this is your fault. You are not delivering the justice, rather than you are doing partiality. At one point of time, you killed 3 crore people, you killed so many other kings mercilessly who have not surrendered to you. At that time, you never felt that that kingdom will become a kingless kingdom, or those women folk will suffer, their children will suffer. You never thought about them. Right now, you are thinking because the enemy is your relatives. Like that, it may be a duty of a teacher also. As a teacher, suppose if I'm a very strict teacher and I'm giving X type of marks to a particular evaluation, even if my son writes that examination, even if my daughter writes that examination, I should practice the same values. Then only that honesty will have value. Otherwise, it becomes a dogma. That means duality is double practice, double standards. It's not an actual standard, it is a double standard. That is double-edged. So that is not accepted in the supremacy of the God. We have to be honest in practicing what we preach and what we follow. Then only we attain that righteousness, or else we don't attain. That is what is the clear message of Arjuna. Now Arjuna is a grief-struck person, a nervous person. Like all we human beings, we face so many situations. Every day is a fight for us, isn't it? At so many points of time, we come across so many situations in day-to-day life wherein we have to fight back. We are all Kshatriyas only. Somebody does injustice, or light bill comes excess. I should go to that light office and fight back why my light bill is excess. That means I am a Kshatriya at that point of time. Or somebody is doing injustice, encroaching upon my house or compound, I should stand there, fight back. Then only at that point of time I am a Kshatriya also. So like that, it doesn't come by any caste or by birth. It comes by what we practice. That is, even in a day also, when I'm in front of God, maybe I'm recognized by some name, Brahmana or something like that. When I'm fighting back, I'm doing this. Suppose if I'm doing job for the sake of salary, I do teaching job. That means I have become a Vaishya. I am selling my knowledge for the sake of money. So I have become a Vaishya. And then when I do I clean my house, I do my gardening, I am a Shudra at that point of time. That is, it is our profession that we practice. In one day itself, we change our colors, we change our so many values, and it keeps on shifting. There is no perfect this one that we are born. Since because we are born here, we are like this. Not necessary. Anybody can follow these supreme or logistical guidelines. Anybody can become fit into any category, because of all right now we are all in business only. That is, I am teaching because of money. Somebody is trading, somebody is selling something to feed themselves. So we are all traders only at that point of time. So like that, where do we do service? We are cleaning the house, we are doing so many household activities. Well, that is, we are servants at that point of time. So that is how we have to understand this logic. And Lord Sri Krishna tells Arjuna that now you are born to a Kshatriya because it is your duty bound. You have to wage the war, and then you have to destroy the enemy, as you have done earlier. We all face such situations. We should take shelter in the God and then fight back or respond to that situation in an honest way. Then only justice. Otherwise, many people cannot distinguish between what is good and what is bad. So this we have to learn. Now, when we face such situations, we should surrender to the divinity. That is what Lord Sri Krishna tells. Now Arjuna was thinking that he is the one who is killing everybody. Lord Sri Krishna tells that you are not killing anybody. It is me who is residing in you. It is me who has made you valiant. It is me who has who is present in all other Pandavas. It is me who is present in all these Kauravas. They are wild by nature because it is their seed quality, and it is me who is holding them also. So it is my order that I want to destroy them at this point of time. So you have to obey my orders and establish the peace. Because unless and until a villain proves that he is a villain, we cannot destroy him. Otherwise, we don't know. Unless and until he doesn't a criminal act, so how can we put some person X into a jail or punish him? We cannot, because when he commits a crime, then only we can make out that yes, this fellow is an criminal, hence he should be punished. Like that, now Duryodhana has committed so many crimes and he is a proven criminal, hence Arjuna has to destroy. So this is the very clear and beautiful message of Lord Sri Krishna in Arjuna's grief. And then second chapter is Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya means knowledge. That is, a grieved person requires knowledge. A person is in great sorrow, is in great grief or dejected. At that time, there should be somebody to give him a moral boost and a knowledge and tell him what is correct, what is wrong, and then he will take on that righteous path and finally become what is the Arjuna, and he established whatever all the logics that Arjuna had put for women will become this, and country will become kingless, and there will be nobody. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. All the Duryodhanas and his company were totally eliminated and killed. All the 11 Akshauhini Sainyas were destroyed. 7 Akshauhini Sainya from Pandavas was destroyed, but yet peace was established, and Arjuna, Yudhishthira ruled the kingdom for a long period of time, so peacefully, and so many, with so much of peace and prosperity. Whatever Arjuna's theory was there, we all will lose, we become without property, we lose this, and we lose cultures. Nothing had happened, and we even today also we recollect that it should become Dharma Rajya. Like Rama was of course God, hence he is incomparable. We cannot compare Yudhishthira with Rama. Rama was a supreme God only. He can do anything at any point of time. So incomparable. He is not in the part of our competition, because there is no question of for him to somebody's advice and then kill the Ravana. Nothing. He can do on his own single-handedly. Even with his will also he can destroy Ravana. But to establish a story, to establish how an ordinary man is, he took that story, Rama, in that way. Now here Arjuna is an ordinary, compared to Sri Rama, Krishna is an ordinary person. Of course, for us he is a supreme person, like he is a king of so many deities. As I said, Varuna, Vayu, Agni, he is a boss of all of them. For us he is supreme, but compared to Lord Sri Krishna, he is an ordinary fellow. So that is how Arjuna required that, and he made a medium. Lord Sri Krishna made him a medium and taught this knowledge for Bhagavad Gita to all of us. We should follow this knowledge and become divine persons, spiritual persons, and attain that supreme feat of Supreme Lord. So with this, I think, as I have completed this chapter 1, now I will read the first verse of this one, so that continuity should be there. If I end up this one, that means next I will not take. So I will read first, so that still it is in continuation. So Sankhya Yoga, Sanjay Vacha, Tam Tata Krupaya Vishtam Ashrupurna Kulekshanam Vishidantam Idam Vakyam Vacha Madhusudana. This is first verse. That means indicates that I am still interested in continuing further. So with this, again, I thank all of you for giving your valuable time, and stay in divinity, and finally, Sri Krishna Arpanastu.